Hello everybody, it's Kara from Wild Book Garden, and today I am here to just chat about the books that I am reading, like a currently reading update, and also to mention the book club picks that I have coming up for various things that I am involved in, because I thought it'd be good to have that all in one place rather than just mentioning them haphazardly as they come up in other videos. So I think this is going to be a pretty chill, pretty short update. That's what I'm hoping. That's kind of what I felt like filming. And I really want to make progress on this stack of currently reading books, because I have barely been reading in May and June, which is fine. I'm not struggling, feeling inadequate because I'm not reading as much or anything, but it's just different for me, and I would actually like to finish some of these books. I am enjoying them, and I'd like to keep reading them. If you guys have been watching some of my other content, you probably will know the reason I haven't been reading much, which is that I have been back in my Korean drama phase, which is where a lot of my free time is going to, honestly. Because I don't watch TV or movies very often, but when I do, apparently I just go all in. Yeah, so currently reading, the first one I have here is Like a Charm by Elle McNichol. I have really not read very much of this. I think I am on, let's see, I'm on chapter 5. This is a fantasy novel set in Edinburgh, and I am liking it. Right now, I kind of feel like I'm going to agree with my friend Hannah, who, this is not her favorite thing that Elle McNichol has written, but I am still really liking it. Yeah, I like the magic elements. I really feel for Ramya as a main character, and I haven't really gotten into the main part of the story yet, so she's kind of just still learning about the existence of magic, and how she has been noticing things that are just a little off, and also how that relates to her family. I am really struggling with her parents. I really have a lot of issues with them, which is part of the point, but I think she has met now, I think it's an aunt and a cousin, and I'm hoping that they're gonna be kind of a good support system for her. But yeah, I, again, just need to make progress. Then another one I have barely made any progress in, even though, like I said, I'm enjoying all the things that I'm reading. I'm on chapter 2 of Consumed by Daja Barber, The Need for Collective Change, Colonialism, Climate Change, and Consumerism. This is a nonfiction book that my friend Olivia Savannah picked for me to read as part of my 12 Books, 12 Friends project, and it is very good so far. I have not been reading, so for almost all of these books, it's not that I'm struggling to read the book. It's just I've not been reading anything. Yeah, and I so far think this is a really well done nonfiction book. I like Daja Barber's writing style. I really like the things she has to say. I do feel like there's a little bit, at least in the first chapter, there was a little bit too much of the New York fashion designer memoir kind of part for me personally. It was well written. It's not that I don't know, and obviously it's her life and she gets to choose what to include in the book. I guess I just wasn't expecting, I didn't go into this with the expectation that there were gonna be those, New York City fashion designer, memoir parts, which normally I like. I really love background about, fashion design and everything, but I'm not, personally obsessed with New York City in the way that I think a lot of authors think everybody is. I really enjoy New York City and I love visiting there. I just don't have the deep fixation on it that I think some writers do. And I'm not saying that Daja Barber does necessarily, just that was an interesting part of the book, and I'm liking the other sections more. Then the only book on this stack that I would actually class as I really am struggling to read this one, unfortunately, is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. You guys know I love T. Kingfisher. She's one of my favorite authors. This is a fantasy romance, or romantic fantasy, and this has been one of the books that I have been the most excited to read from her, and I'm so far not loving it. There are parts that I'm loving. I'm buddy reading this with my friend Kelly from Cozy Reader Kelly, and we both feel very similarly, which is there are great scenes between the characters. There's some great funny lines and things, but it's very slow. There's just a lot of traveling and not much else at the point that we're at. And also, I personally feel if I had read this as one of my earlier T. Kingfisher books, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more, because I think that she has done similar setups to this one, but much more successfully in other books. I feel like Nettle and Bone comes to mind, and also the Clock Tower War series. I think those are much better versions of this like kind of story setup. And also I feel like she has written main characters that are kind of similar to Hala, one of our two protagonists, but I think again they've been a lot more well-rounded and more interesting. Like I like Hala, but she feels a little bit exaggerated in a way that I don't love. So this is like kind of a disappointment so far, and I actually am a decent chunk into this one finally. I think I am just over like halfway through, because this is like quite a long book, and I was excited for a really long like fantasy with romantic plot or subplot from an author that I love so much. But this one is just like not working for me, and I think the romance is another part of it. Is I wanted it to be differently paced than it was. I don't know. So more thoughts to come, but not loving this one. And then one that I think this is probably the one I'll finish next on this stack. I've only got about 130 pages, and it is reading like fairly quickly when I do read it. And that is It's All in How You Fall by Sarah Henning. I really love this cover too. I'm really enjoying this one. This is a contemporary that also has a romance plot, and our main character is Caroline, or Caro, and she's a gymnast, a really, really talented gymnast, like set on, you know, nationals in the Olympics, like on track to do those things, and then she has a really horrible injury, and she can't do gymnastics anymore at all. Like basically there's no chance, you know, even if she does physical therapy and even if she gets treatment and all of this, like it's over. And this has been her life for so long, and it's been her passion and her dream for so long, and she is understandably really struggling with losing that, like with grieving, you know, this thing that is so important to her. And her brother's friend named Alex, like he ends up offering to like help her kind of date other sports, to try and like find something, not to replace gymnastics, but like something else that she can get into and, you know, like get excited about and like train for and everything. And there's also like a little bit of the matchmaker trope in this one, which you guys know is one of my favorites. So I am really liking this so far. I love Caroline and how like driven she is, and she's a really interesting blend of very confident and like sure of herself and her abilities, but also really self-deprecating in a way that I think feels very honest and genuine. And I really love Alex too. He is such a sweetheart, like such a just genuinely good person, and I really like his interactions with Caro. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this one, and I actually thought I was going to finish it last night, and obviously that didn't happen, but probably within the next couple days I'm hoping to finish this one, and I'm continuing to really like it. So those are the like official books that I'm currently reading. But then I have a couple that I am also currently reading but don't put on Goodreads. This is a really bad habit I'm developing, and actually I think at some point I'm going to have to borrow an idea from my friend Margaret. Her channel is, I think she just recently changed her channel name, but I will link it. It was most recently MM's Musings, but she might have changed it. And she has been doing something called like Free the Bookmark, which is basically working on getting her currently reading books down, and, you know, freeing the bookmark from the book by actually finishing them. And my problem is not with my actual currently reading shelf on Goodreads, because I'm managing that pretty well. My problem is like the books that I won't add to Goodreads. Like I'll pick up and I'll read like a chunk of it, you know, like enough that I feel like I've started the book, but not enough to actually make meaningful progress on it, and it just kind of lingers, and I don't like it. It's stressing me out. So anyway, at some point I'll probably have to go through and assemble that like huge stack of books to figure out how to stop that habit that I do. But the two from that list that I'm going to talk about, these are the ones that I'm most like actively unofficially reading. One of them is Touchstones, a collection by Stephanie Burgess, another really gorgeous cover. This is a collection of short stories there are a lot of like romantic fantasy, but also with like different vibes. There's like some fairy tale ones. There's like, I think a couple of creepy ones maybe. I just was like really excited about this, and I've had a mixed experience so far. Like the first story was fine, but there was kind of like some Not Like Other Girls flavor that I didn't love. And then the second story did that even worse. Like I really didn't like the second story because it had a real internalized misogyny problem. Like I absolutely hated the way the only other female character was like written about in that one. Undead Philosophy 101, that's what it was called. A Cup of Comfort I thought was pretty good. Dreaming Harry I also liked. And Offerings was good. I've actually read more of these than I thought. That's encouraging. I also thought Dancing in the Dark was well done, and I'm currently reading The Disastrous Debut of Agatha Tremaine, which I'm excited for. That's one of the ones that I know the premise of, and I think it sounds really good. So I'm gonna keep, chipping away at this, and hopefully I'm gonna finish this by the end of the month. That's kind of my loose plan. And I'm hoping that there's at least a couple stories in here that I really, really love, because so far I've had a couple misses, a couple like middle of the road, and then one or two that like I did really like this, but nothing like amazing, so that's one of them. And then the other unofficial currently reading one to talk about is Small Victories, Spotting Improbable Moments of Grace by Anne Lamott, or Lamott, and this is a nonfiction book. It's a collection of essays, actually, and this is the first thing I've read from Anne Lamott, and I am so far really liking it. Her style, like her writing style in the introduction, kind of threw me because it was just for some reason different than what I expected. But I've really settled into her writing in the rest of the book, and actually the essay that I finished most recently was Forgiven, and I loved that one. It was so like funny and relatable. Like it's basically about like Anne Lamott like having this arch nemesis who is this other mom at her son's school who like has absolutely no idea that Anne Lamott like hates her so much, and like not, that sounds really mean, but it's like, those people who just, they do things in this like passive aggressive way and it drives you bonkers, and like everyone else loves them and thinks they're so kind, but every time they talk to you it's like they're judging you. It's like that kind of thing, and I found that very relatable because like I think a lot of us have known a couple people like that, so I just really, really enjoyed that essay, so I definitely want to continue this. And I think then I'll just mention the book club books I have coming up. I was going to talk a little bit about like what I plan to read the rest of June, but honestly, I don't know. I've not been reading much, as I've discussed. I definitely want to read some books for Pride. I did reread King and the Dragonflies by Kaysen Callender, which was absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful. I will link the live show that I did with Olivia Savannah on that one, but I'd like to read some more things for Pride. And other than that, and other than my currently reading and the like book club things, I honestly don't know. So just very quickly, Daja's book by Tamora Pierce. This is the third book in the Circle of Magic series. I'm part of a read-along with Beautifully Bookish Bethany and a bunch of other wonderful people, and I have been loving this series so much. I don't know if my wrap-ups will be up by the time this video goes up, but I have been absolutely adoring this series. It's so far my favorite thing by Tamora Pierce, so that's very exciting. Then for the Not a Genre book club, my friend Hannah from Ball Gowns and Books is going to be the next guest, and we're going to be reading and discussing The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is a classic middle grade, and I think it's going to be a really great one to discuss and to contrast with our next book club pick. That live show is going to be on my channel, and I'm going to be leading the discussion for that. By the way, we actually have the date decided for the Circle of Magic one, I think, but I don't remember what it is, so I will put that in the description. And then finally, for Past It Classics, we are reading Poor Miss Finch by Wilkie Collins. This one, actually, I technically could have put in the books I'm unofficially currently reading pile, because I have actually started this one and I've read a few chapters and I was really enjoying it, and I just haven't picked it up again. I didn't even put a bookmark in it yet, so, which is unusual for me, but I definitely will be needing to finish this one. Julia is going to be hosting that live show, and we are hoping to stay more on track for the rest of the year. We always have things come up, which I think, hopefully everybody understands, is like we all just have, very different schedules, and trying to coordinate a day that we can all make it is sometimes difficult, as I'm sure you guys understand, but this will be hopefully happening like around the end of June, beginning of July, and yeah, I've really liked what I've read so far, and I want to keep going. Okay, so that was my chatty little, like, what I'm reading, what I'm reading but I haven't put on Goodreads, and also a few updates on our book club selections. I'm actually gonna try, like, I really enjoy kind of chatty videos like this, and I really like having this way of mentioning book club picks rather than, having to remember for like a TBR video or something, because I usually don't remember. So maybe I'll try to plan to do one of these like approximately per month. I don't know. Let me know how your reading has been going lately. Like I said, May and June has been pretty quiet on the reading front, which is very unusual for me. Like, I don't remember the last time that I was doing other hobbies more than reading. So it feels a little weird for me. But yeah, let me know how your reading's going, if you're reading anything especially exciting. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!